Hello, YouTubians! At the time of this recording, the third and final beta weekend event for Guild Wars 2 is less than 3 days away. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your pets. Today I present my list of 10 things to do during this beta weekend event. Whether you've already pre-purchased and want to make sure you don't overlook anything, or you've just received one of the bajillion beta keys handed out in the last couple of weeks, stick around for a while, take a load off, and daydream pleasantly to yourself while I wax eloquently about the many ways in which you can occupy your time. Now, if someone were to tell me that this upcoming event is actually intended as a demo, I might actually let them slide for once. The game is nearing launch, the last couple of events have demonstrated a very reasonable level of polish, and now it's time for ArenaNet to show off their hard work and get things ready for prime time. Nevertheless, it is still a game in its pre-launch stages, which brings us to number 1 on our list. Take a breath. We all want the event to run smoothly with no issues or glitches, but it helps to keep in the back of your mind that hiccups are still pretty normal at this stage. Hope for the best, be mentally prepared for the worst, or into the pit you go. Number 2, slow down a bit. Keep in mind that these are just suggestions. If you want to haul ass and try to see as much as you can on your way by, I'm not going to give you a hard time over it. I just want to point out that Guild Wars 2 is one of the rare games that allows you to see a lot in a number of different ways. You can see a lot by moving from one area to the next, or you can see a lot by slowing down a bit and looking around. ArenaNet has clearly invested a lot into the environments and dynamics in the game, and you may just find it to be well worth your time to soak it in for a while. Number 3 on our list, take the time to read a little bit. Now don't get me wrong, I know you're all smart cookies, but if I could choose one thing for you to take away from this third and final beta weekend event, it's that for all the heartfelt pleas from people over the years to break out of the WoW clone mentality, I'd feel confident in saying that ArenaNet has delivered. Take the time to read the tooltips on your abilities, read the objectives for the dynamic events you're taking part in, go that little extra mile to get a firm grasp on what is going on around you, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at what you find. Number 4, check out the crafting. I've done my share of crafting in other MMOs, but I think ArenaNet has done a pretty decent job of creating a crafting system that is involved enough to be satisfying without feeling like a chore. If you're interested in crafting, I've got a series of videos on my YouTube channel that will show you enough to get started and let you dabble during the weekend to get a feel for things. Number 5, make sure to try different weapons. This is simple and straightforward, but it's also where a good chunk of your combat diversity will come from. Changing around weapons is an easy way to get a feel for what a particular profession has to offer, and is a great way to mix things up from time to time. One thing that you'll note is that Guild Wars 2 doesn't have melee professions and ranged professions. Every profession has an opportunity to fight from range and melee if they so choose. Number 6. Go for a swim. This is easily overlooked, especially in the starter zones, but the underwater combat in Guild Wars 2 is definitely worth taking a look at. You never know what you might find when you flop into some random looking pond in the middle of nowhere. You don't have to worry about holding your breath, and every character starts off with at least one underwater weapon already equipped, so make sure you give that a go. Number 7, stick around after dynamic events, watch the NPCs, and watch for chains. This has been covered in a bit of detail since the first beta weekend event, but it can't be overstressed. There are a lot of things that happen in the world if you just kind of take a moment to look around and ask yourself if the event you just finished seems like something that could lead into something else. Sometimes an NPC will run off and go open a shop or start another event. Other times another wave of enemies will spawn. You never know. It's definitely worth just taking a minute or two to make sure you're not running away from the best part of that event. Number 8, join a group and mess around with group dynamics. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about just falling in with a group while you're doing a dynamic event. I'm talking specifically about joining a group and collaborating with them to see what they have to offer. One of the things that I noticed right away is that the dynamics as a solo player are very different from the dynamics in a group. It gives you an opportunity to try out the different support roles available to your profession, and it's also just a great way to have fun. I've played a lot of MMOs where people complain that they don't have a reason to talk to anyone, and Guild Wars 2 looks to have taken a step back in the direction of socializing with the people you group with. Number 9, try some world versus world. Even if you don't think you enjoy PvP, it's worth giving this a shot. The world versus world system in Guild Wars 2 mimics the open world PvP environment you might find in other games, only way better. For one, the level scaling means there's no ganking. Also, having objectives to fight over and siege weapons to play with is just an awful lot of fun. Definitely worth a look. The last and absolutely most important thing you can do this weekend, number 10, have fun. Following beta weekend event number 3, we'll have 5 weeks to wait before we get our hands on the game for real. I'll be spending my time over the weekend gathering as much footage as I can to help you cure the itch between the beta event and launch. I've already got plans for a number of videos, and we'll make a point of getting enough footage to span the full 5 weeks. Take a look around at the other videos on my channel, and if you like what you see and want to be notified when I add more, be sure to click the subscribe button. I'll be back with my next video as soon after the weekend event as I can. In the meantime, enjoy the weekend and take care.